morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Wednesday, October 2nd, 2019. Precipitation for the past 14 days is shown here. We had a good little band of precipitation move through last weekend with some heavy precip amounts there in northwest Utah, southeast Idaho, and up into Wyoming. Elsewhere across the southern Great Basin, conditions have been quite dry for the last couple of weeks. This morning's satellite imagery is showing a low-pressure trough moving into eastern Idaho and western Wyoming this morning, bringing some cloud cover and some light showers to these areas and even into northern Utah. Elsewhere, we're expecting dry conditions. So for this afternoon, our ventilation rates are pretty high over eastern Idaho and eastern Utah and western Wyoming, but not quite as favorable over Nevada and western Utah. We have generally light winds over Nevada and western Utah, with some higher winds there in western Wyoming and eastern Utah. Mixing heights are highest in eastern Utah as well. On Thursday, another trough moves into the northern Pacific Northwest. This will increase wind speeds across much of the geographic area and will increase ventilation rates on Thursday. Again, we're looking for an increase in winds on Thursday, particularly over southern Nevada and southern Utah, with increasing mixing heights as well. And on Friday, this low quickly scoots across the northern Rockies. We're not expecting much precipitation for the Great Basin with this low, except maybe over the central Idaho mountains. But the ventilation rates will still stay pretty good on Friday for Utah and Idaho as that trough moves across the northern Rockies. On Friday, the winds will be strongest over eastern Idaho, western Wyoming, and portions of northeast Utah, with pretty good mixing heights over Utah. Lighter winds are expected on Friday over western and southern Nevada. The forecast clearing index for Wednesday and Thursday is shown here with somewhat favorable values today over the mountains of northern Utah and pretty good values statewide on Thursday. The 3-day precipitation totals are shown here, really just expecting some precip over the central Idaho mountains and possibly western Wyoming as the next little trough moves through over the coming days. On Saturday, we'll see warming and drying in place across the geographic area. The ventilation rate still stays pretty good over Idaho, but will decrease just a bit for Utah and Nevada. And continued warming and drying on Sunday with pretty good ventilation rates for Nevada, not that great elsewhere. Much of the same for Monday with continued warm and dry conditions. Our ventilation rates do seem to pick up over Nevada and Utah a bit. And then on Tuesday, another trough looks to move into the northern portion of the northern Rockies and the Pacific Northwest there along the Canadian border. This will bring some moisture into Idaho, but will increase winds across Utah and Nevada and increase that ventilation rate due to those increased winds. Precip totals for days 4 and 5 are very light, not really expecting any precip to move into the geographic area this weekend and into the first of next week. And the extended forecast for October 9th through the 15th is shown here, looking for near normal to above normal temperatures over Utah and Nevada with slightly below normal temperatures over Idaho. And looks like we're going into a drying trend for as we go into the middle of October. This concludes today's smoke dispersion briefing. Please check back on Friday for the latest update.